Hey, Pipe fans, welcome back to Carl Cruz MMA. We got a repeat guest on the show. He is Mr. Harry Hardwick, Cage Warriors featherweight, defending that strap, going down London this weekend, taking on Javier Garcia. Harry, what's up, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just sort of in that kind of being a bit of a vegetable on fight week kind of mode. Like I'm not gonna lie, I've literally just woke up from a nap, but it is all good. The sun is actually shining for once. So yeah, excited.
There you go, man. You've been doing this for quite a while now. Do you still feel that same energy and excitement when you get into Monday of fight week?
Yeah, so like the, I've gone through like different spells where like I'd be sort of nervous about fight week, I'd be this about fight week, and then it kind of just change a bit by opponent. But like as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate it more, and I see more of the positives as I've gotten older. Like the it's such a unique and special thing. You don't really get to experience it very often. Like I'm really blessed that this is my third 5 round fight in just under 10 months. I'm blessed about that. That's a good thing. But it's still not often you get to experience it. Like football or soccer players, they're out there competing 90 minutes twice a week, every week. I'm like, I'd be really, really lucky if I get a year or 2 years where I compete for 90 minutes. And it's like, it's what I love doing, and it's what I'm spending all my life practicing. So yeah, you just got to appreciate it. Your brain will try to convince you of the negatives because it's a high pressure situation where, failure is pretty fucking huge. But meh, there's a reason you're in the gym every day. It's almost certainly because you love the sport, so embrace it.
You've gotten to a point now, both you and your brothers, really one of the faces of this Cage Warriors promotion. Now defending that belt again for you, getting the headline, getting to do it in England. Is that stuff does that ever get old?
It's pretty cool. Like the trouble with headlining is you fight much later, so it's a bit more of a pain in the ass in some respects. Um, like you've got to do extra things to make sure your body is awake at like 11 p.m. where, because you're never training at that time. Typically, when you're in fight camp and you're living a sort of goody two shoes lifestyle, you're in bed asleep by that time. So like you've got to do things to counteract that. But but it is nice. Like there's a lot of it that's nice. It doesn't change the fact that it's a fight, but it's pretty cool. Especially the last two I've had them in Newcastle, which is just down the street. Really, it's about 50 minutes, an hour away. Like those are really cherished memories. Headlining arenas that close to home with that much support. Um, but this is pretty cool. George is going to be headlining the prelims, and then I'm going to be headlining the main card as a way of keeping us separate on the card. Because I think if we were main and co-main, that would just be a massive chew on for both of us that we couldn't be fucked with.
Absolutely. Kind of a crazy couple of weeks for you guys. George originally supposed to fight last week. Something happened. Fight was off. Now all of a sudden he's thrown in here. What has that been like? What's this past couple of weeks been like for you?
So yeah, we found out last Saturday morning that Lucas Clay pulled out. They were trying to find a replacement, and then I just threw out the idea like, look, if needs be, we'll fight on the same card. As much as we've expressed to the matchmaker in the past that we don't really want to do that for 5 round fights because it's blah blah blah, and it's a headache and this and that. We're both just in that kind of we're close to the fight. I don't want him not fighting. It's not. He likes being active, and he's not had the most active last 2 years, just because of the injury and stuff like this. So it's just like we want to be active. So I suggested just bung us on the same show if possible, because then that means instead of the matchmaker having like 2, 3 days to find an opponent, he had 7 or 8, and he's got an opponent. It's a good one. It's going to be a good fight. The guy is, I hate platitudes, but as far as like he's an old school fighter. I've seen him in fights get come back from getting knocked down 3 times and still win. So he's a. I got a lot of respect for him. And you said you were going to release this after it's been announced. So
Yeah,
the guy is
absolutely.
called Samuel Silva. He is 12-4-1, LFA veteran on a 4-fight winning streak. But then he's sort of like he lost one 4-fight winning streak. But before that one loss, his last loss was like 2017 or something. So he's on good form. Fought in Russia before, in a sort of weird fight where both of them got points deducted for illegal kicks to grounded opponents. Um, yeah, he's a bit of a wild one, but it's good. It's as far as getting someone on a week's notice who'll fight George in London for his belt. This is probably like the best one that they could have got. So I'm happy about that.
No, absolutely. I think it's an interesting dynamic. You've seen it before with different teammates on the same card. You haven't seen it too much with different siblings, but one thing that, I've talked to guys with a bunch of teammates on the same card, they say it's a double-edged sword. Obviously, you're going to be the main event, you're going out last. Does it ever cross your mind if something happens that shouldn't go the way you guys want for George's fight? Could that maybe carry over and dictate a negative result for you?
The work's kind of done by that point, though. Like the training is done. My body will just do what it has been programmed to do. I've had many fights. I know whatever happens in George's fight, I'll be able to dial in and beat Javier Garcia. Also, last 2 fights, I've almost had a bit of a practice run of this because when I won the belt in May, a teammate of mine I'm quite close to, Joe Fields, fought on the same card, and then I was sort of a bit nervous, and I was thinking it was for my own fight. Joe Fields goes out there, wins, in fact, first round stoppage, and I'm like, oh, I was actually just nervous for him because they just melted away. And then November, a training partner I'm really close to, Leon Arms, he's like family to me. We shared the card, and then I was more just like, because of the Joe Fields one, like any of the little butterflies, I was like, all right, I could manage them much easier. It was like my much more familiar experience, and I just dealt with that fairly fine. And then again, Leon Arms, emphatic first round knockout win. So yeah, and then gonna have a similar thing, just increased the sort of closeness to the training partner that's earlier on the card. But yeah, this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like I have such faith in the work that's been done that I think it's going to be a fucking fantastic night for us.
Will you guys be cornering each other?
Yeah, I think I'll corner George. Like normally, we fought on the same card 3 times before. Normally, the person who fights second doesn't corner the first fight, but I think as I've got older, as I've matured a bit, and as I've had those other 2 experiences, and then just with the way that the Indigo, the O2, the venue is laid out, I, there's nowhere I could really like dip out to have a seat and watch his fight. So I'll just go be in the corner. I might as well. Like it's a long enough time between his fight and mine. I think I've got a good enough control of my emotions and the adrenaline. Yeah, I'll be sound with it. I'll
You know,
probably I'll probably be cornering like a bit of a robot, and I'll probably be a bit like even if George chins the guy, or if something bad happens to George, I'll probably just be kind of sat there, not really doing much. Like there won't be the typical corner cam of someone jumping up and celebrating or like getting all invested. I'll be a bit more robotic with how I'm cornering, but yeah, I think I'm going to be his corner.
Absolutely. We've talked about it before. There's a lot of sacrifices to be a mixed martial artist. The casual fans look at this, they think this is the greatest lifestyle ever. They don't see, man, that a lot of guys, when you're fighting on the regional scene, you're not a millionaire quite yet. A lot of guys have those 9 to 5 jobs, throw a wife, throw kids in there, pay to train, wake up early, miss birthdays, Thanksgivings, dinners, family time, all this crazy stuff just to chase the dream. Both of you guys have done it. What's it like to be able to have a brother like that who's on your skill level, a guy that you can both be champs in a promotion and go on this journey together?
I'm living the dream. Like as much as the lifestyle is difficult, um, and I could do with some more money. I am living the dream, and the fact that I'm getting to share it with someone like I don't really think you can be closer to someone than me and Georgia are. We're almost like twins. Like we're so comfortable with each other and around each other so much. There can be like complete silence for ages, and it just doesn't matter. Like we're just on a very like similar wavelength. So the fact that I get to do that alongside him is unreal. But like, yeah, I'm living the dream. As much as I have to sacrifice things, the sacrifices are for a purpose. They are for MMA. They are for what I love doing. It's the sport I'm all in with. Like I'm a coach as well as a fighter. Like I don't really see myself doing anything else once I've retired other than coaching. Like honestly, if I was to win the lottery tomorrow, I think the only lifestyle changes would be, I have my own house. The car I drive to the gym in would be nicer. The gym would probably be in a nicer like a nicer building that doesn't leak. But my lifestyle would be pretty much the same. I wouldn't really change much.
You guys really have become some of the faces of the Cage Warriors promotion. Not even the fact in the UK, but a lot of people who follow mixed martial arts in the United States, they know who you guys are. They keep up with you guys. Um, is it pretty cool to be now at a point where you're having people, especially younger fighters, reach out to you on Instagram and be like, "Hey, I look up to you. I want to do my career after you."
It's pretty cool. And it's like my thing is always I don't want to sound like negative or sound like I'm warning people, but like if you can do anything else with this life, if you can see yourself doing anything else with this life, do that something else. Like fighting is such a like it has to be burning and screaming inside of you for you to want to do it because it's a very the difficult high risk, like as far as actual physical things, low reward game to be in. But some people, like I'm in a boat where I fucking love it, and I love the way that the sport, like just the sport itself, the way that the kicks and the punches and the takedowns and the athleticism, that all that interacts with one another. I love studying it. I love like that. I don't really see myself able. Well, I would probably be able to do something else, but I don't see myself doing anything else. I don't want to do anything else. And I think if you are some young aspiring fighter, that's kind of how you have to think. If you're like, oh, I think the idea of fighting is great, but like you're not willing to have those horrendous sessions in the gym. You kind of want a bit more financial stability and a bit more comfort in your life. Then don't. Fighting is for like it's not something at half-ass. You've got to be 100% in it.
So we're taking on Javier Garcia coming up. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
Boring. He's really like I actually fell asleep studying one of his fights, which has never happened with an opponent before. Um, it's odd. It's like on the feet, he's doing a whole lot of nothing most of the time. He's kind of skirting around the outside, or he's throwing a weird double jab with his head dipped down. He'll try and time his way under left hands typically to get to a single leg or a body lock or something, where he has like a few decent sequences. Like I've watched a fair few of his fights. all of them but one round in the LFA title fight against Elijah Jones. All of his stuff's dull. He had one round where he was brilliant, like, and he is possibly capable of some decent mat return stuff and some ways of holding people down and like latching onto submissions and stuff. And I have to respect what he does. And like getting caught by anything off this idiot would be humiliating. So I'm training really, really hard. But he's an uninteresting, really boring, very he's just uninteresting. It's like he's got this mustache that he's grown on his face instead of having a personality or any entertaining fights. It's just yeah, I don't like. He has no crack. Like in the sort of UK and Irish sense of crack, as in like good banter. Like he's not funny. He's weird. He was talking shit to get the fight, and then as soon as the fight got announced, he suddenly stopped clapping back to anything. I don't know. He's just he has a mustache instead of a personality. He has a double jab and he has a single leg. That's it.
In this day and age of mixed martial arts, I think one thing that we're really start seeing, it's a very entertainment and personality driven business these days. You're fighting, it doesn't seem as always enough. A lot of guys, they put on facades, they be characters, they're people they're not, they talk all this stuff because they know it's going to give them a title shot. Knows maybe they get the UFC quicker, maybe they get bigger fights, maybe they make more money. How do you feel? How do you draw that balance of including entertainment and personality in your day to day?
See, I don't know if it's just because me and George are strange people, but like people seem to find us entertaining anyway. And then I think just as a fighting style thing, both of us are going in there to drive a high pace and finish someone potentially by beating them to the point where they're that tired and disorientated they can't defend themselves. It's like I think just the style we have is quite entertaining. And then I feel, yeah, I guess we're just kind of strange and people find that funny. I don't know.
I think what's so interesting about you individually, your style, I mean, it's so amazing to watch. You're a very fast paced fighter. You don't really find your back foot. You just go forward, but you're a very complete mixed martial artist. I mean, you can knock someone out on the hands and also take them to the mat, find them in rear naked chokes and guillotines. Do you take a lot of pride in having that style?
Yeah, it's just it's the style I've arrived on. I think it's how my personality is. Um, I think it's just a personification of being annoying and stubborn. That's just sort of like turned into a fighting style. But as far as just I'm always in the gym like year round. I'll take maybe a week off after a fight. I'm fairly good at regulating injuries. I very rarely get injured. I'm just always in the gym, spinning every plate I can. I'm always doing strength training. I'm always working my striking. Always doing wrestling, offensive wrestling, defensive wrestling. I'm always doing rounds. I'll make sure I do a good spread of different types of rounds of different sort of sports every week. So like, I, I'm very happy that is sort of where I'm at, but I'm still very aware of my flaws and not what needs work. Um, it's just I'm close to fight week now, so I'm dumbing my brain down and not really caring about that stuff as much.
So obviously, you have a very tough guy in Javier Garcia, and not trying to talk too much past it. But we're coming up on the summer. Obviously, the Dana White Contender Series are coming up. Would we be lying if we're not considering that this could potentially be you and George's last fight in the regional scene?
Potentially, yeah. Like again, it's if it is, it's a pretty cool one. Like the Indigo at the O2, which is a venue we've got happy memories for in defending titles on the same show. Both of us have a combined record of 10 wins and no losses in London at the minute. So going 12-0 in London would be cool. It would be cool. Obviously, things happen. The UFC is very reactive and unpredictable. So I don't know if contender series or anything like that's a guarantee. I just want to smash fuck out with this idiot next week. or this week, this fucking week, I get to smash fuck out this idiot. But it's all pretty cool.
For you, what's the ultimate goal?
I like get to the UFC. I still think, despite me being 30 now, I have time to get to the UFC and be champ. And I just think with how much better and more disciplined and hungry I'm getting with age, I think that is a possibility. I think with the way I've looked after my body through my career, I really don't think I'll hit my prime till about like 34, 30, like between 33 and 35, I think is like where my absolute prime is going to be. Um, so yeah, get to the UFC this year, keep fighting cunts, keep beating them up, get a belt.
We've talked about it before in previous interviews of how mixed martial arts has grown and evolved in the UK. Obviously, you have your Michael Bispings out there, you have Paddy Pimblett, you have other guys who made it to the big stage. But, you and your brother, you're part of that. I really do feel that you guys are part of that growth. What does it feel like to be part of that?
I don't really know. I'm just living my life, so it's cool. But uh, if I wasn't, then I'd still be doing what I'm doing.
For you, how has it evolved over the years? From when you first started getting into mixed martial arts, how have you seen the landscape of MMA in the UK evolve?
Um, it is so back when I started, there was almost like it was a bit more like a hobbyist sport. Like you'd watch an amateur card, or even to some extent some pro cards, and they would be full of people who were just kind of doing it as a hobby because it was new. Whereas now the level of amateurs in this country is ridiculous, and they're fighting tough fights early on. Um, just generally the overall mixed martial arts skill development is night and day different. Like back when I started, most gyms people would do sort of jiu-jitsu and then they would kind of do striking, and you would really tell in fights. Luckily, we got Abdul Muhammad, Afghan guy, wrestler, guy who came up through Wolfslayer, the same gym that Michael Bisping and Rampage and Czech Congo and a few others were in back in Liverpool in the day. So like we had we were blessed with like a really solid foundation in like not just wrestling but like mixed martial arts appropriate wrestling and footwork and scrambling. Um, but like a lot of that stuff was non-existent back when I started.
We talked a little bit about the entertainment and personality era of mixed martial arts. And I think a big byproduct of that is something that we call the casual fans. So these are the people, they're usually drunk. In the United States, they go to this place called Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the fights. They like to go in the cheap seats. They like to yell, twist them, and the what, have all these obscene takes, think that they can fight, all this stuff. What do you think of these people?
It's good. I think any kind of fandom and support is good. Any interest in the sport is good, and I think everyone starts somewhere. Like I think if I was to listen to myself of 12 years ago or whatever talk about MMA, I would probably think he was waffling a load of crap. But some of these casual fans will become very serious fans with good contributions to the sport. Um, and it's just if if that's how people want to enjoy it, then that's how people can enjoy it. If people want to have a Buffalo Wild Wings and a beer and scream stupid stuff at a TV screen, go on, be my guest.
For you, what does it mean to call yourself a mixed martial artist?
To quote T-side legend Chris Kamara, I don't really know, Jeff. I don't know. It's just how I live. It's what I do. It is a big part of me and my existence. So yeah.
For you, you've been doing this for quite a long time, and we haven't reached your goal here quite yet. But isn't it amazing to reflect and look back at what you've already accomplished?
I don't know, somewhat, but like I'm hungrier now than I was. So like I'm I'm very looking forward. Like I'm not going to spoil anything for myself. Like do you know, like when you get those big moments, those wins, I used to be like, oh, well, on to the next thing, or that wasn't good enough for us. Now, like, I'm going to take time to celebrate appropriately and to enjoy and soak in these moments and soak in the actual moment of fight week and being there and traveling and stuff. But like, I'm very driven at the minute. Like, I've got more driven, more disciplined, more hardworking, and more ambitious as I've got older and got through this game.
Awesome. All right, Harry, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Javier Garcia at Cage Warriors 186?
When I fight Javier Garcia, the Cage Warriors 186, I'm going to punch that cunt stupid Tash clean off his face.
There we go. Well, Harry, man, thank you so much for your time. So excited to see you fight, man. I think this is an awesome event. Seeing both you and your brother in action. This is one of the Cage Warriors I've been the most excited to see for a very long time. And thank you for your time, my friend.
No worries. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. That's it for us this afternoon. I'm Carl Prusa. He is Mr. Harry Hardwick. You watch him, Cage Warriors 186, taking on Javier Garcia. Take it easy, fight fans.